Hey everyone, I just want to show here how it's going with my project. I borrowed this very nice sculpture from a dear friend of mine who is an artist and sculptor and whatnot. Very great woman, and she let me borrow this nice sculpture here to do some testing on 3D photo scanning. So I have taken about 70 pictures of this from different angles and then put this through Photoscan software to try to convert all these pictures into a 3D model. What I have then is a hell lot of work because it happens to be like this. I have an old computer and I have 8 gigabytes of memory, which ended up calculating on pure swap file for 3 days in max quality on the Photoscan. But I got a model out of this, and the model I got we can see here after the scan, and it's pretty nice, a very nice detail if I zoom in and so on, as you can see. But I also ended up with some nasty artifacts over here on the lower side and on the arms and on the downside of the dress here, which wasn't very nice. So I kind of wanted to see if I could clean that out to get a better model to display, just for the fun and for learning. So I did some research and trying to find out what I could use, because I don't have something like a ZBrush or something. So I tried Blender, and one of the newest versions of Blender happened to have the sculpt tool, which also introduces retopology, which means you have the possibility to rebuild an area like this with new polygons instead of the old ones here, and you can then again add some detail to that. So that I did, and I ended up with a model that looked rather smooth down here and below on the dress. So I then needed to convert this, because this is around, you see down here, 2.5 million polygons, and that's a little rough to render. So I needed to do something about that. So I took this through the application called, just a second, Instant Meshes, which is a nice free application that can convert, and you can draw lines where you want the polygon lines to go and so on. But again, free software. And I happened to make a lower polygon model of this instead, which I then took into my 3D application, as you see here, and I started to check up on the model how it was going. So I also needed to add a UV map, so I generated a new UV map for the low polygon model, and then I exported that with the model. So now I had a high polygon version with the UV map and a low polygon version with the UV map. So what I needed to do then was to go into an application called XNormal, and I tried to regenerate the high polygon model with the normal map and the texture over to the low polygon map. But that seems to cause me a lot of trouble and so on. And what I figured out so far was that the high polygon model I had from the Photoscan software, its UV map was split into practically every polygon. So what I needed to do was go into my LightWave and select the UV map and then merge all the points. So I didn't have a billion points, and then save it out again, and then the error message was gone. So I rendered out here, put some settings, high polygon and the low polygon model, and did some measurements on that to calculate how it would transfer the texture. Forgive me if this is a little complex, but it's rather fun and interesting, I think. So, having done that, I then ended up with a new texture for the low polygon model. And I can minimize this, and I can somewhat minimize this also, and minimize this, and this now is my final result. This is the low polygon version, and as you see down here, all the smush and dirt is kind of gone. There's a few small artifacts and so on, and also the lower part of the dress looks a lot better than before, and not a lot of noise in it. I did get a few problems on the UV map because of all the holes in the high polygon model, but that was fairly easy to fix in Photoshop. I just loaded it in and worked a little bit around with a cloning brush and so on, and after all, I think this is a pretty decent result. And if I press the status now, you can see instead of 2.5 million polygons, I have a model with 250,000 polygons instead. And it looks pretty good, I think. So this is so far my very first and very best result with a 3D scan, and it's been a very fun journey. I want to thank Ane very much for borrowing the model and so on. And this is definitely not the last time I will play around with this, but it takes a lot of patience and a lot of memory if you're gonna do in high quality. As you see, if I zoom in here, it's pretty nice detail, and you can even see brush strokes and whatnot on the shape, on the model here. So I'm pretty satisfied, and now I can try for fun doing some small project animations with this, just for the fun of it. So that's what I want to show today, and that's about it. Hope you enjoyed.